Did you know that countries like Ivory Coast and Benin spent a staggering $1.57 billion on rice imports? And they are just a few among many African nations that, despite having vast fertile land, still depend on foreign rice. Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso saw this as a major economic flaw, one that drained billions of dollars from the continent while sidelining African farmers who could have produced this staple crop themselves. What if Burkina Faso could not only produce enough rice to sustain itself, but also export it to other African countries? Such a move wouldn't just boost Burkina Faso's economy, it would keep African wealth circulating within Africa, strengthening the entire region's financial independence. In a groundbreaking move, Captain Traoré has officially launched large-scale rice production in Burkina Faso, now supplying hundreds of tons to neighboring countries. This initiative is not just about food security. It's about dismantling Western economic dominance in Africa by cutting reliance on imports from the West, including USAID-controlled food programs. How did he accomplish this? How much rice is being supplied? And what does this mean for Burkina Faso and Africa as a whole? Let's explore the full story. Under Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso is undergoing a historic transformation, one that prioritizes agricultural self-sufficiency and economic sovereignty. For years, Burkina Faso, like many African nations, found itself trapped in a cycle of dependency, importing rice despite possessing over 500,000 hectares of fertile land suitable for large-scale cultivation. Western economic interests intentionally designed a system that kept African nations reliant on imports. Programs like USAID flooded local markets with heavily subsidized foreign rice, undercutting local farmers and making it almost impossible for them to compete. The consequences were severe. Farmers struggled to survive. Millions of dollars flowed out of the country each year to pay for imports. And the CFA franc weakened due to a widening trade imbalance. But Traoré refused to let this cycle continue. He took bold action, launching a nationwide rice production and export initiative with two core goals: to achieve full food independence for Burkina Faso and to establish the country as a key rice exporter to African markets. By doing so, he is not only boosting his nation's economy, but also breaking the chains of foreign dependency that have held Africa back for decades. Burkina Faso's bold push for food self-sufficiency and its emergence as a major rice exporter to Africa didn't happen overnight. The journey was filled with challenges, from low domestic production and outdated farming techniques to foreign-controlled markets that kept the nation dependent on imports. Understanding the urgency of the situation, Captain Ibrahim Traoré's administration introduced policies that went beyond boosting production. They laid the foundation for a self-sustaining rice industry, one that could serve as a model for other African nations. Over the past 2 decades, rice consumption in Burkina Faso has tripled, making it a staple food across the country. Yet local farmers only produced 36% of what was needed, forcing the country to import the remaining 64%. This heavy reliance on imports drained foreign reserves, weakened the national currency, and discouraged investment in local agriculture. However, Traoré knew that Burkina Faso's issue wasn't a lack of capability, but rather a system designed by foreign interests to keep African nations dependent on external supplies. Burkina Faso has vast expanses of fertile land, a climate ideal for rice farming, and a skilled agricultural workforce that had been overlooked for far too long. Recognizing this untapped potential, Traoré's government launched an aggressive agricultural revival plan, starting with the National Rice Development Strategy, 2021 to 2030. This ambitious initiative aimed to produce 3 million tons of rice by 2030, eliminating the need for imports and making Burkina Faso a key supplier of rice within Africa. To turn this vision into reality, the government expanded irrigation systems across 400,000 hectares, ensuring that rice farming could continue year-round, instead of being reliant on unpredictable rainfall. Additionally, 32,000 metric tons of improved rice seeds were distributed to farmers, designed to yield higher productivity while resisting drought and pests. The government further strengthened agricultural output by supplying 95,000 metric tons of NPK fertilizer and 64,000 metric tons of urea to enrich the soil. Beyond just increasing production, Traoré's administration made strategic investments in modern rice processing facilities. This ensured that locally grown rice met international quality standards, allowing Burkina Faso not only to feed itself, but also to position itself as a leading rice exporter to other African nations. One of the most remarkable aspects of this rice revolution is the vital role played by women in the processing sector, showcasing the government's commitment to inclusive economic empowerment. Burkina Faso's agricultural transformation is more than just a shift in food production. It's a statement of self-reliance, economic strength, and a challenge to the long-standing grip of foreign influence on African economies. Beyond just growing rice, Burkina Faso's agricultural transformation is centered on industrializing rice processing, increasing its value, and empowering women as essential players in the economy. Nearly half of all rice in the country undergoes parboiling, a traditional technique that enhances its nutritional value, improves texture, and extends shelf life. This method involves soaking, steaming, drying, and milling raw rice, which results in a firmer, more flavorful, and more nutrient-rich product. Health-conscious consumers, especially those managing diabetes, prefer parboiled rice due to its lower glycemic index and superior nutritional content compared to imported white rice. Before Captain Ibrahim Traoré's intervention, the local rice processing industry was struggling. Cheap, heavily subsidized rice imports from Western nations flooded the market, making it difficult for local rice processors, mostly women, to compete. As a result, many small-scale rice businesses faced the risk of collapse. Instead of allowing this vital industry to fade away, Burkinabe women took control of the rice processing sector by forming cooperatives that reshaped the industry and revived its potential. 9 major cooperatives united to create the National Union of Parboiling Women, UNRIS, a groundbreaking initiative designed to provide women with a structured and sustainable way to thrive in the rice economy. Under this model, micro-parboiling enterprises, MPEs, were established, allowing women to process rice from their homes, while community-based parboiling centers were built to provide access to modern equipment for those lacking personal facilities. This approach ensured that women could actively participate in rice processing, regardless of their financial status or resources. The impact of this transformation has been extraordinary. Today, Burkina Faso's parboiled rice dominates local markets, outperforming imported rice in both quality and price. With the support of UNRIS, women-led enterprises operate as independent businesses, while benefiting from a larger network that provides training, financial assistance, and access to national and regional markets. The incomes of women entrepreneurs have doubled, creating financial independence and economic stability for thousands of families. To further expand rice production and distribution, the GIE Prometris initiative was launched to manage large-scale processing, marketing, and export. This structure ensures that locally grown rice is efficiently processed and distributed within Africa, keeping wealth within the continent. Burkina Faso has taken a bold step in reclaiming its rice industry from foreign dominance, proving that self-sufficiency is not just a dream, but a reality in the making. Today, Parboiled Burkinabe rice is flooding local markets, outperforming imported varieties in both quality and price. This shift has directly benefited local farmers and processors, particularly women entrepreneurs whose incomes have doubled, fostering financial independence and lifting thousands of families out of poverty. But this is more than just an agricultural success story. It is a model for Africa's economic liberation. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership has demonstrated that Africa has all the resources it needs: fertile land, a skilled workforce, and innovative policies to sustain itself without relying on Western imports or food aid. The success of this initiative is clear proof that Africa can break free from economic dependency when its leaders prioritize local production and keep wealth circulating within the continent. Now, Burkina Faso is not just feeding itself, it is exporting hundreds of tons of rice to neighboring countries, including Ghana, Mali, and Niger. These nations, once heavily dependent on rice imports from the US and Asia, are now sourcing their supply from within Africa, ensuring that billions of dollars stay within the continent instead of enriching foreign economies. This shift is effectively replacing USAID food programs and challenging the long-standing narrative that African nations must rely on external aid to survive. A key factor behind this transformation is Burkina Faso's complete control over its rice value chain, from cultivation and processing to storage and distribution. A crucial player in this system is Les Moulins du Sahel, a leading flour and rice company that has committed to purchasing all Burkinabe rice. This guarantees a stable and sustainable market for local farmers, preventing foreign imports from undercutting domestic production. By eliminating unnecessary middlemen and ensuring that profits remain within Africa, Burkina Faso is setting a precedent for other African nations. This is not just about rice, it's about economic sovereignty. The message is clear. When African countries invest in their own resources, empower their people, and take charge of their food supply, they can build strong, independent economies that thrive on self-reliance rather than external aid. The effects of this agricultural transformation are reaching far beyond Burkina Faso's rice fields. The economic impact has been massive, with the country's revenue from rice exports doubling since 2021. Women's cooperatives, which play a crucial role in rice processing, have seen their incomes skyrocket by 127%, allowing them to expand their businesses, improve their families' living standards, and reinvest in their communities. To keep this momentum going, the government has secured $5 million in loans to further scale up rice production, ensuring that this movement does not slow down. But the impact isn't just about the numbers. It's about changing lives. Thousands of new jobs have been created in farming, milling, transportation, and distribution, reviving rural communities that were once struggling with economic stagnation. Young Africans, who previously dismissed agriculture as an unprofitable industry, are now embracing rice production as a serious business opportunity. Meanwhile, the growing presence of high-quality Burkinabe rice in urban markets, restaurants, schools, and institutions means that more businesses can rely on local products rather than expensive foreign imports. This keeps money circulating within Burkina Faso, strengthening its economy from the ground up. But imagine if other African nations followed Burkina Faso's lead. The continent could completely eliminate its dependence on foreign food imports, ensuring that billions of dollars stay within Africa rather than enriching outside economies. This vision aligns perfectly with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, which aims to create a unified African market where nations trade among themselves. With the right policies, Africa could sustain itself, trading African-grown food across African borders and keeping African wealth where it belongs, at home. This is bigger than rice. This is an economic revolution. Burkina Faso's rise as a major rice producer directly challenges the Western economic system that has kept Africa dependent for generations. By proving that Africa has the resources to feed itself, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is dismantling one of the most powerful tools of Western control over the continent. Burkina Faso no longer needs USAID. It no longer needs Western rice. It is building its own path to food security and economic independence. So, what do you think? Should African leaders come together and strategically decide which crops and products to produce, ensuring that each country fulfills the needs of others? Wouldn't a strong intra-African trading system stop Africa's wealth from flowing into foreign hands? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Africa is blessed with everything it needs to thrive, yet external forces have long tried to sabotage its progress. It's time to talk about solutions. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.